Welcome to Social Media Business Basics. I'm Trainer Lori. What is social media? Well, it's an environment of rich user experience harnessing collective brainpower. Essentially, it's being able to harness all those people that are out on the internet and try to get them to think somehow. The problem is it's not behavior that's predetermined. We cannot predict what's going to happen. However, it does create word of mouth publicity, so that's a good thing. Well, our goal in business is to try to create communities who talk and listen. In other words, we not only talk to our customers, we have to listen to them as well. It's tough mixing just marketing with PR, let alone throwing in IT and content and trying to make it all something people would care about, all something that's relevant, and get all the players to participate. We don't get control of what goes viral. Our users do, and that's the hard thing. We can't expect people to buy products tomorrow because of what we put on a social media site today. It's constantly changing. What we did 3 months ago may no longer be appropriate. In fact, it may not even be available anymore. And on top of all that, we have to do it with a sense of humor. This is an actual error message from Orkut. Bad server. No donut for you. So you have to keep your sense of humor about everything. We can actually talk to individual people on a personal basis. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Should you do social media? It's like someone asking if they should buy a light bulb after electricity was invented. It's pretty obvious. And we are going to fish where the fish are. So what factors must we think about when we're deciding which of all those social media platforms are we interested in? For example, we need to know how many users there are. That's called the reach. How many page views. If people aren't viewing, if they're not going to the sites, it probably isn't worth participating in. The credibility of who's on. In fact, I went to all the top 15 sites, and I can tell you there's a couple of them that I didn't feel comfortable being on, and I wanted to get off really fast. So I can imagine that as a business, I wouldn't want to be participating in a site like that. Longevity, how long will it last? Well, nobody can say, but if it hasn't had some history, it probably won't have some future either. Is it a good fit? What's relevant to our audience? So now we're going to take all those different platforms and decide what the top 15 are, because clearly we want the most important. And you can see Facebook leads the pack. In fact, I call it the 750 million pound gorilla. And why? Because that's how many unique visitors Facebook gets every month. 750 million. Followed by Twitter. You can see that Twitter is a third of that, but it's still much more than all the others. You can see then LinkedIn and MySpace, Google+, DeviantArt, which is a place where people take photoshopped pictures and put them up, LiveJournal, where people actually journal constantly. You can read people's feeds, what they have to say. Tagged, Orkut, Cafe Mom, there's our mommy bloggers. And Ning, that's a place where you can actually create your own social media platform. And then there's Meetup, My Life, My Yearbook. Now that we can see that there's a lot of them, but clearly the top ones, the top three are the ones that we really want to look at. So let's go into it in more detail. Facebook, the biggie, and businesses now on Facebook. You have to be on Facebook. In fact, I think it's more critical than a website in some ways. If you're not familiar with Facebook, if you don't have a Facebook account, it's easy to get and it's always free, as they say when you sign up. And you've probably heard the term friend before, but they've actually turned it into, will you friend me? It's now a verb. So because once you've friended somebody, then you can see things that they care about, things they like. You can post your thoughts. You can write something on the wall. And that's what these words mean. And then if you like something, you can either click down here or you can click up here. And if you like it, then it'll be passed on to other people. Now, the one rule that Facebook has, one of many rules that they have, is that you cannot advertise on Facebook or promote someone to like you right on their site. And so you can see here it says like it or not. Dr. Pepper is here to stay, but we're pretty sure you like it. In other words, they're giving you hints, but they're not telling you to actually like it. When you're trying to get your audience to interact with you, this is what Facebook tells us, that you should ask a where, when, would, or should question. You should never ask a why question. So those kinds of questions get people to participate and interact, and that's the whole purpose of Facebook is interaction. One of the things Sean Brook said, and he's the monetization analyst at Facebook, he said that by far the biggest predictor of engagement, in other words, that audience would actually participate in the site, was that the post was on a topic relevant to the brand. In other words, if I'm writing about my product, I'm going to make sure that I write about my product and that I don't write about my new little kitty or I write about my weekend. I write about my product. And we know a million things about our own products, and that's what we have to share. He says it impacts everything from lightweight likes, in other words, where you simply have to click a button, to more invested shares. That means I want to share it with other people. It is actually one of the most important things a brain can do. People are seeing the content. In other words, we're going to those sites because they like the brand, and it makes sense that the content about the brand will get them engaged. So that is critical. Whenever you're trying to get people to talk about something on your Facebook page, it should be about that brand, whatever your brand is. The next one we'll talk about is Twitter. Twitter is a way to share. In fact, I started using Twitter years ago when I was traveling a lot, and that's what I understood the intention was, that it was a way to share with a whole bunch of people at once what you were doing without having to write a whole bunch of emails. And it's kind of evolved into me sharing anything that's on my mind, and if you're interested, you can follow and see what I'm talking about. And so you can have people, you tweet, and that's what a post is called when you Twitter. You follow someone by reading what they have to do. So I'm following these people, and so I'm reading what they have to say. And I have, at this point in time, I had 14 followers. I have more now. And they are following me. They want to know what I have to say. Another thing that you'll see is hashtags. And sometimes in the United States, certainly, we call them pound signs. But not anymore. They're called hashtags because the pound means something different in England, clearly. But what that means is that is a trend. That's something that I want people to follow. So, for example, if I say a hashtag Outlook, then anybody that's talking about Outlook will see this tweet, and it will follow, and so it'll be easy to find if you're looking for something. You can also simply just start writing about something, and if everybody's talking about it, that's called trending. So if you want it to trend, you put a hashtag in front of it. But if it just happens to trend, it will find it and let you know what's new, what's happening, what are people talking about. I rarely use the computer to Twitter or tweet. If I do, I actually use a service called HootSuite, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But if I am out and about tweeting, I always do it from my smartphone. And that's one of those things that has given rise to things like Twitter, is that I can do it wherever I happen to be, even if I'm standing in line at the grocery store at the bank. Now I can do something with that time. The next one that everybody should participate in is LinkedIn. This is our business calling card, and it's a way to share you with everybody you know, and then if you need reference, you need information from somebody, then you can do it based on who you know. Once you get into LinkedIn, you'll get a lot of these emails indicating that you're a friend, and you have to accept them as a friend. And that's what most of these are. You have to accept them. You have to be proactive about having people reading and participating. But our goal is to get more people to read and participate. I know a lot of people have been afraid of getting in Facebook because they think it's too intrusive. But the fact is you can choose, you can limit who you want to see it. But as a business, of course, you don't want to have to limit it. You want to share it with as many people as possible. I mentioned Hootsuite earlier because this is the way that I actually tweet. Instead of me getting on and posting something to Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn on a regular basis, I can do it all at once. I don't have to go into each of those sites. So you can see that I have several feeds here, and I can read them all, and I can send a message to all of them at once. This is called a dashboard, when you have one location to access a lot of different things. And when you're reading these feeds, it's called a stream. So I'm reading what's going on. This is called a stream. Also, there's something in Hootsuite called an owlie. So for example, if I were to share a link, and you can see add a link here, Twitter only allows 140 characters. So if I'm adding a link and text, I want to shorten it as much as possible. So once I've added a link, it'll ask if I want to shorten it. and you would definitely want to shorten it, and it changes it into an OWL.Y and then some other letters after that. It's called an owly. That's a shortened version of a link. Foursquare is one that really only works with a mobile device like a smartphone. I have a Foursquare on my an app. You can see the icon here on my phone, and it allows me to check in wherever I happen to be. For example, if I'm at a restaurant or some location that sells products, I can check in, and the person who checks in the most at that point becomes the mayor. Now, this is something that you might see on your Foursquare. Welcome here if you're the mayor, or if this is your first time here, you get some sort of benefit or special offer. Foursquare is huge, but it does have to know where you are, and so you have to share that information. If you have any questions or requests, be sure to contact me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.